glad you're here. This is the audio version of the book Peak, A Resource for Recovery, authored by Faye Anam Avis. Chapter 1, Where Does It Hurt? I find that the second Mamma Mia movie offers an interesting perspective on the relationship between parents and their adult children. For those unfamiliar with the storyline, here is a summary. Upon graduating from college, a young woman adventures through Europe. She lands on a Greek island where she has sex with 3 different young men over a period of a few days. When she discovers she is pregnant, she has no idea which of the 3 is the father. DNA testing would have settled this but ruined the movie. She tells none of them. They sail off unaware and totally uninvolved in the life of the daughter, Sophie. Sophie's mother hides the truth of her birth, which is only discovered when Sophie reads the diary of her mother, who dies shortly afterward. Here is what happens next. Sophie feels totally betrayed by her mother, who, it is now revealed, was exceedingly promiscuous. She is scandalized by the thought that she has no idea which of 3 men is her father, but is clear that all of them are cads who took advantage of her emotionally vulnerable mother. She writes all 3 men a letter telling them how much she detests them, asking them never to contact her. In addition, she trashes every memory of her mother, gifts, letters, and photographs. Wait a minute, that's not what happens. Sophie adores her mother and makes the prime directive of her life fulfilling her mother's dreams. As for her 3 potential fathers, she reaches out to them at some expense to herself. She embraces them all, including her witch of a rich grandmother, who only shows up when she can be the center of attention. The movie is not only entertaining, it represents a parent's ultimate fantasy that their adult children will not only be able to forgive whatever mistakes were made by their parents, but embrace them and even their dreams in a way that makes all those years of parenting count for something. This is not simply Hollywood. This is the American narrative of multi-generational families. It is reflected in movies, videos, and television programs. The greeting card and floral industries are built on it. It dominates the conversations of older adults. It is the way they get to know one another. Do you have children? Grandchildren? What do they do? Where do they live? The reality for millions of parents is quite different. Their adult children have made it clear, by words or behavior, that they no longer want to have a relationship with them. Instead of the joyous, celebrative, multi-generational vibrancy portrayed in movies, written poetically on greeting cards, or pictured in the carefully staged and styled photographs, many parents of adult children are experiencing a very different, painful reality. That's where I want to begin this chapter, the pain. When someone has suffered a physical trauma, such as an automobile accident, and they are wheeled into an emergency department on a stretcher, the question is not, where were you headed? Or, what color is your car? Or even, whose fault was it? The question is, where does it hurt? In the next chapter, I will clarify more precisely what I mean by parental estrangement in a way that addresses the questions of the mind. For now, I want to address matters of the heart that probably caused you to pick up this book in the first place. This is the starting point of a conversation about parental estrangement. Where does it hurt? For some, the pain registers as a simmering anger, perhaps expressed, perhaps held in check just below the surface. For others, it is a broken-heartedness that bursts into an unstoppable flow of tears. For still others, it can be a sadness that simply stares into empty and wordless space. Even numbness and disorientation can be an expression of pain. On the surface, it can look like acceptance when in fact it is more like a broken arm that a person is holding close to his body because motion just hurts too much. What should I care is often a version of "it hurts too much to care." Certainly, there are parents who have found it relatively easy to accept the loss of connection to their children and go on with their lives. For many others, the estrangement is a problem that is having a major impact on their lives. Grab a pen and review the questions I will read next by indicating yes next to any that reflect your experience. Have you experienced the intentional severing of relationship by one or more of your adult children, not forced by military service or job location? Do you find the estrangement from your adult children to be emotionally painful and similar in intensity to other traumatic events, even death? Does the trauma of the estrangement spill over into other areas and impact your marriage, friendships, health, and positive engagement with life? Are you developing characteristics of those overcome by an addiction, unable to free yourself from emotions and behaviors that are making your life unmanageable? Have you begun to view your life from the standpoint of a victim? Have you become a reactor to your adult children rather than an actor who takes responsibility for creating your own healthy lifestyle? Do you struggle to understand the reasons for the estrangement? Even if you have an understanding of the issues, have efforts at resolving them failed? Do you find yourself overwhelmed by feelings of guilt, unable to discern where the responsibility for your failures end and your adult children's responsibilities for the estrangement begin? Does the estrangement from your adult children and grandchildren create a disconnect between yourself and other parents who appear to have relatively healthy relationships with their adult children? Have you found that there are relatively few resources for estranged parents, and that traditional resources such as clergy, physicians, and counselors seem to have a limited understanding of the problem? If you answered yes to 3 or more of these questions, you are likely dealing with the problem of parental estrangement, and this book is for you. Naming the problem is the first step in dealing with it. It can also be painful. People I trust who have read this book have found that it makes them angry enough that they are tempted to stop reading it, even throw it across the room. Unfortunately, there is no way to deal with this problem without talking about the ways it impacts our lives as parents, including the feelings that it elicits. The impacts of parental estrangement vary from one situation to another. However, estranged parents as a group share many of the same experiences. In the list of impacts below that parents often list, circle the ones that you are experiencing. We are isolated from other estranged parents who might serve as sources of insight, support, and guidance. We feel defective and alone. We are manipulated by the anger, silences, and withholding contact with grandchildren into taking actions that are harmful to our mental or physical health or put stress on other important relationships. We have spent resources to support the poor choices of our adult children that put our financial security in jeopardy. We have pled for affection or connection with our adult children in ways that leave us feeling badly about ourselves and often seem to push them further away. When we try to make amends to our estranged children, our efforts are either ignored or the admissions used against us. We live in a capricious cycle of connect-disconnect with our adult children over which we have no control. As a result, we find it difficult to trust that any progress is taking place. The fact that we are parents of estranged children leaves us feeling that we do not deserve to be happy, and we postpone opportunities to enjoy life and serve others. We are confused about appropriate ways to relate to our grandchildren that might enrich their lives in the long term. Because we see ourselves through the lens of our estrangement, it is difficult for us to believe that we can be loved by others. The unrealistic expectation that our estranged children will change delays important financial and legal decisions, including plans for our eventual decline and passing. Since our estranged children know us best and refuse to forgive us for real or imagined failures, we wonder about our spiritual destiny and forgiveness in the life to come. It is important to begin by saying that these impacts are serious and deserve as much attention as you would give the physical injuries of a car accident. Like many physical injuries, they will not simply get better with the passage of time. Broken bones need to be set. Lacerations need to be stitched to avoid scarring. Frozen joints need physical therapy to avoid permanent impairments. The trauma of parental estrangement requires attention. However badly you might feel about yourself, you are worth it. You deserve to be healthy and happy. It is also important to say clearly that the goal of this book is to help you recover from the kind of impacts listed above, not to guide the reconciliation with your adult child. If help with reconciliation is what you need, seek out a reputable family therapist. If reconciliation should occur during this process, all the better. You can put this book aside or give it to another estranged parent. There are many out there. As we shall see in the next chapter, parental estrangement is a major problem in our society. You are not alone. Questions for reflection and discussion. In addition to the list of impacts above, there may be other ways that parental estrangement has affected your life. Take a moment and list those. Based upon this chapter, would you say that you are experiencing the trauma of parental estrangement? What are the indicators? If parental estrangement is the emotional equivalent of a car crash, how bad was the crash? What has shaped your understanding of how a parent-adult-child relationship should look? How did this chapter leave you feeling? If you are using this book in a discussion group, what did you gain from hearing others speak or from speaking? This is the end of Chapter 1. If you feel this would be helpful for anyone else that you know, please share. Thank you again. And you can also help if you look below the window, the frame that we're in. You can like this video, you can subscribe to this channel, and you can click the notification bell, which will let you know every time we have uploaded a new video. This book series will be published as rapidly as possible, one chapter after another, instead of spacing them out to a weekly edition. Thank you.